Part 2, Chapter 3 of Green Side Up, keeping score. Ed in this gives an example of a football match. Like if you're the coach of a football team, you kind of don't want to wait to the end of the game to realize what the score was. You need to be keeping the score regularly. And all too often, what we see is that people at the end of the year are asking their accountant, like, hey, did I make money? And that's a little too late. I mean, that's a little too late to try to figure out if we're profitable or not. And you're probably, what we need to know is way earlier that we need to track. All right, so this tracking the money is sort of the basics. We need to know, our labor costs on each of our jobs and what is going in with there. And so, if you're a small company, you could maybe have 2 shoeboxes, one for incoming receipts and one for outgoing. But as you get bigger and start to become a more serious firm, it's going to take a little bit more planning and financial management. That's not necessarily to say that it doesn't say that one needs to have a big expensive computer, everything, but you need to keep score and know where the income's coming from. With that, I'm also going to include this in to Chapter 4 because it relates directly to that. Like, how do you keep score? What is the scoreboard? And that is Part 2, Chapter 4, which is your P&L, your profit and loss statement, gives you the score. So here we are. Him starting out the chapter. Do you know where you're making money, what your break even is? Do you know where your operating costs are, what your overhead is each day, how much profit you need to be successful? These are things that are in your income statement. And this is how we keep score within the game. And so without having that, these are sort of the basics, he says. You have to know these things, like kind of off the top of your head. You have to know your numbers and to be able to tell, the win and loss of what's coming in there. Because no one in sports would play, right, without having the scoreboard up there. And your profit and loss statement is that scoreboard. So I'm going to read this one. I can only urge you to reconsider, I guess, if you work by yourself or if you have 1 or 2 employees and never hope to build any equity in the business, you don't need to worry about these things. But if you're planning to grow and sell it, there might not. All right. So, if you're not planning to grow and sell it, there might not be much value in a profit and loss statement. But if you have other aspirations, if you want to grow a business and build some equity in it, then you need to put these systems in place. If you want to grow, it's all about building equity. And you need to have these profit and loss statements generated for you on a timely basis. That means like as soon as the month's out or whenever you call your accountant needs to be able to generate these statements for you. If you don't have them in a system and you have to put together all the receipts and everything else, it's too long. You have to set a date with him and you have to start to create expectations of when your statements are going to come to you or when you're going to be asking for them on a regular basis. Most of income statements come with a trailing 12 months, and your systems need to be able to generate these for you so that you can see, your history, because just 1 month doesn't make a business. And so we have to also look at them with percentages near them, to know that you made 100 grand or whatever. Is that good? I don't know. If you made $1 million in top line revenue, that's 10%. That's pretty good. But if you're a $10 million business and you only made $100,000, 1%, that ain't so great. So we need to start to look at and study these things. And he gives an example of he went and got a book and realized that he was losing a good deal of money on an operating system, because if you start to look at your statements with percentages, now you can compare them to other businesses and realize, holy smokes, my insurance is way out of whack compared to others. And he started to realize he was like 22 grand over. And he realized that because he had his systems and paid $50 to try to get a comparative analysis. And so he says, wow, 22 grand is a pretty good return on a $50 investment. So at the end of Chapter 4, take action. If you're going to play the game of business, you've got to keep score with your monthly P&L statement. And 2, insist that P&Ls are complete with your accountant before the 15th of the month that closes out. And then write the percentages by all of your profit and loss statements. This is our audio review summary of the book, Green Side Up, provided to you by Providence Trading Capital Partners, our little gift to you. So let's get on with the next part of the